One of our goals with the Air podcast is to be committed to God's command in Matthew 28:19. We strive to take the gospel to all nations and to engage the unreached and to support our brothers and sisters on the mission field. I am asking that you join me in supporting my buddy Timothy Roderick with his upcoming missions work in July of 2020. Here's what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Tim. I'm making this video to reach out and ask for your support in a cause that's dear to my heart. This coming July, I am going on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. While there, my church family and I will build churches, share God's love, and simply just give our friendship and hospitality. I can't afford the cost all by myself. If you could please pray about donating, I could really use the help, and I appreciate anything I receive. You could donate to my Venmo account, which is the @Timothy-Roderick, or to my Facebook account, Timothy Roderick. I trust God will get me there through your donations. Thank you, and God bless.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Please, let me explain. 1, it is free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from the phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many others. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So please, download the free Anchor app and go to anchor.fm and get started today.
The Ear, Evangelical and Reformed Christian Podcast. Welcome to The Ear, the Evangelical and Reformed, a Christian podcast that urges you to think deeper and draws you closer to God through faith. Through powerful sermons, teaching segments, and discussions, The Ear hopes to give you a different perspective on secular topics from a Christian worldview. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Please welcome your host, Brandon Queen.
Proverbs 10:4, a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich.
During today's dialogue, we take a look at wise spending as married couples, and all of the questions are based on the married couple functioning and communicating as one body.
If we're not conforming to His word and His will, I personally don't really believe that we can call ourselves believers.
Join us for this episode of Living Financially Balanced. Good morning, podcast world, and welcome back to yet another episode of The Ear. This is season 4, episode 4, and we've entitled this one, Wise Spending as a Married Couple. And we have joining us none other, Brennan Falks. How you doing, B?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Now, it's kind of weird that I'm talking about this particular topic because I am not married.
That's okay.
But hopefully you can give us some insight since you are married.
Yes, I hope to. Been married for 6 years now.
Interesting. 6 years. That's a pretty good number. You're going to make that a 0 at the end of that 6?
Eventually, that's the plan.
All right. I like that. All right. So let's go ahead and dive on into the questions. What does it mean, or let me rephrase that. What does finances look like for a married couple?
Well, so as we've covered many times before, finances, personal finance is all about behavior. And so what that looks like for a married couple is basically the same thing. It comes down to the behavior, but not only of you and not only of your partner, but as the two of you together as a team. And so there's really not a whole lot of individuality here when it comes to personal finance within a marriage. You really have to work as a team, understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, perfect. What are the basics of finances for a married couple look like?
The basics are pretty simple. I mean, when you get married, it's not your money, my money, it's our money. You both sit down to do the budget at the beginning of every month before the month begins. You come together as a team, like I said, working on your strengths and weaknesses, complementing each other. And really, it's just the in its simplest form, it's a matter of budgeting, strategizing, planning together.
All right. Now, what if the wife doesn't work? Is it still considered my money or her money or our money?
It's still absolutely considered our money. So in a lot of cases, you'll have like a mom staying home with kids, for example, and dad is out working. And so this brings me to talking about life insurance briefly. In most cases, the husband would be the only one to have life insurance because he's out working and the goal is to replace his income. We don't think about our at-home spouses who are taking care of children, but they're equally as valuable, if not more valuable, to the family unit. And so they would need life insurance as well. So a stay-at-home parent can be looked at as a home economist. So even though the one that's out working is making all the money, it's still our money because we're still working as a team in every other area of our marriage to make sure that things keep functioning well.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. Now, but as a married couple, it's usually a two income household. When it comes to buying homes, vehicles, etc., should the couple look at used options first? Now, and the reason why I'm asking this question so early is, we've covered that it's the team, and I'm gonna refer to the marriage as a team. It's the team's money, if you will. So when it comes to looking at homes, vehicles, and stuff like that, should they look at used, older homes first before they go and build something or buy something new?
In most cases, I would say absolutely yes. But it's also circumstantial. So it really depends on the individual couple. It depends on their situation. If they've got the money to go and purchase a new home or a new vehicle, by all means, if it's a small percentage of your world, the money that you have, saved and all these types of things, then that's fine. I'm not worried about it. But in most cases, like for example, a young couple who's newly married, just starting out, thinking about a new car, for example, you definitely want to go and look for a used, reliable, and safe car. You don't want to go and buy a new car, especially when you don't have the money to do it and you have to borrow.
Okay, perfect. All right. What if, and this is kind of a spinoff. Okay, so we have a couple, they're just starting out, just got married. They don't have much to their name. They're just starting to understand what finances is. And they're both working. And they only have one car. What would you say to that couple if they're thinking about getting another car?
Well, we need to figure out how we can quickly save as much money as we need to get a vehicle that we can afford. If you can save, several $1,000s in a short period of time, you can get a vehicle worth that amount of money. If you can only save $2,000 in, however many months it takes, then you're getting a $2,000 vehicle until you can make a difference in your situation. Because like we've talked about before, individually, debt is a bad idea. When you're single already, it's a terrible idea. But in a marriage, it's an even worse idea because now you have each other to look out for, which is already a difficult, the marriage union is difficult to work out as it is. So when we add in a topic with a lot of weight to it, like finances, and we take on a lot more stress and a lot more risk, all we're doing is putting more tension on that relationship when we don't need to be doing that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, should married couples have joint savings accounts, separate, or both?
Joint savings account, you should probably really only have one simple savings account for your emergency fund. All your other saving outside of that should be going in toward investing or a health savings account or something like that. But as far as your checking and savings account, I always tell married couples to have joint accounts just to simplify everything, make sure everyone's staying on track with the budget, make sure we're on the same page. We see the money that comes in, we see the money that goes out, and it's all in just one hub and it's easy to keep track of.
Okay, because I know some married couples that actually have the whole separate checking account, joint savings account deal, and they make it work, and it works for them. I mean, I would probably be more prone to do that in today's world due to, never mind, that's another topic in and of itself.
No. And that's a legitimate concern. But the thing is, we have to remember, when we get married, whoever's marrying us, whether it's a pastor or whatever, they don't say, and now you're a joint venture, right? They say, and now you are one. So we really have to centralize everything and become a unit, become a team. And it might work for some people to have separate accounts or whatever. But what I've seen in most cases is that there's added stress, there's hidden expenses, there's a lack of understanding within the marriage of knowing who makes how much money, where it goes, who spends what on which bills, or how much money there is for what I want versus what you want. It can really be a mess. And like I was saying, you don't want to add tension to something that's already, I don't want to say difficult, but for lack of a better word, it's, marriage is difficult. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of getting used to and learning each other, and marriage runs very deep. So we don't want to add stress and tension to it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And one of the things I like to tell people, several of my friends have this problem or this thought process that, when they get married, like, for example, I'm buying a house in my name, it's mine, whatever. And then I meet this girl, we get married. Now, hopefully you're marrying a girl for the right reason and not just to get married, because that's a problem in today's world. So let's say the marriage doesn't work out. Then all of a sudden my wife now gets my house, and I'm stuck without a house. She has access to all the accounts. She wipes out the accounts. What happens next?
Well, like I was saying, that this is a legitimate concern. We have to understand, first of all, the number one reason for stress in a marriage is due to financial topics, not even financial issues, just finances in general is the number one cause of stress in a marriage. So we have to understand that, first of all, if we can't trust the person that we're getting ready to marry, we probably shouldn't be marrying this person. I think everyone would agree on that. That's really basic, really simple. But that's not to say that something couldn't go wrong in the future. But what we do have to know is that the more effort we put in, the more we work as a team, the more we come together and work on this financial thing together, the better our marriage is going to be. Working on your finances together, talking about it, making a budget, planning, communicating over that budget, all these types of things add so many layers of depth to your marriage. It changes the whole dynamic of the marriage.
Absolutely. I would agree with you on that one. And that's what I was getting at is, I told several of my friends, that's why I'm always slow. I'm not one to jump into something. Yes. I'm not going to jump into a relationship if I know the relationship's going to be bad, because it's not even worth wasting my time.
Right.
So forth and so on. Now, to jump back in this whole money deal, if a couple needs something, should they ever use their savings for that purchase?
Well, I'll just kind of clarify the question. So for every purchase, if you don't already have the money to make the purchase, you should be practicing delayed gratification and saving until you can make the purchase. You need to save up enough money to make the purchase. However, you don't want to be taking anything from your emergency savings, your emergency fund, to make purchases unless the purchase is an emergency. Right. So if let's say the car engine blows up. Well, that's an emergency. We go straight to the emergency fund. We take the money. We pay for the car to be repaired or a new vehicle or whatever the case is. If, on the other hand, you want to go on a vacation, you can save the money to go on that vacation. Or if you already have money saved outside of your emergency fund, then you can use that money.
Absolutely. For a couple of years, I had a vacation account where every year I would kind of do an overview of a budget. Mm-hmm. Of course, I would still do the monthly budgets or whatever, but I'd do like an overview of the year. And like, for example, this year I'm going to Tennessee.
And I'm actually going to be mixing church and personal,